You know, I was thinking today that this COVID is definitely a problem. It's a problem that is making us tired, and who knows how long it's going to be. But from the point of view of problems, problems are not going to stop. Hopefully the COVID, we don't know, hopefully the COVID will go. The vaccine will come, or whatever it is that needs to come will come, and then hopefully the COVID will go. But something else will come. It may come, a heartbroken, it may come a health problem, it may come lack of money, it may come a lack of job, it may come a broken pie and your house is like a swimming pool. That's what happened to her. She has her house like a swimming pool. Problems are not going to stop. They're not going to stop. And I mean, it's nice when we experience a moment when we are problem-free. It's quite nice. And it happens sometimes. But we cannot count on that, because any second a problem comes. So we need to be prepared for problems to come, not waiting for the problems, but knowing that problems are going to come. They're not going to stop being problems. And that's something that we need to reason. We need to keep remembering that problems are not going to stop. The COVID is a big problem, but there is always going to be some kind of problems. The government that is more difficult than it should be, the economy that is going crazy, there is always going to be something that is going to affect us. It's very rare to have a long period of time without a particular problem. So we shouldn't wait for problems, but we should reason, we should know that problems are common, they happen. And so we need to be ready for them. And one way to be ready for them, one way to do that, is to understand deeply that the problems are not really the problem. What is really the important thing is our state of mind with which we confront the problem. This is what often we miss. We think that the problem is a problem in itself. But there is no problem in itself, because the problem has to enter through the only place that can enter, which is my mind. And it is my mind the one that grades the problem, or sees the problem, or make the problem as a problem. It is the mind, and the mind depends, 100% depends on the state of the mind. Depends on the state of the mind, the problem is going to be a huge problem, a little problem, or just something to be resolved. And that's we need to remember that when we confront a problem, that the problem depends on my point of view. And the main difficulty with a problem is our degree of resistance to the problem. That's the main difficulty. And the degree of resistance to the problem is going to depend on my point of view, on my attitude, which the point of view depends on the state of the mind. It's not the problem that is a problem, it's the way I see the problem, and the way I see the problem has to do with my resistance to the problem. The moment I understand that whatever happens is happening, it cannot not happen, when they stop being resistance, then the next thing is, okay, what can I do? What can I do? Maybe there is something I can do, then I try to do it to the best of my abilities. Maybe it's nothing I can do, then what I have to do is I have to deal with the situation that there is nothing I can do. But that's all. It may be difficult, it may be challenging even. But that's not the problem. It's just a challenging thing, something that if I am in a good state of mind, I can say, wow, this is challenging. How lucky I can grow as a human being. It's not easy to say such a thing when we confront the problem. It's definitely not easy. But one could say that. And the reason why we don't say it, because we don't have that more wise state of mind that can say, okay, wow, this is a big challenge. Wow, interesting. Okay, that's good for me. I can grow. I remember the Greeks had this saying, only difficulties bring the best out of us, or bring the deepest out of us. Of course, not necessary, no? You can, if you are in a very bad mood, difficulty will bring the worst of you. But that depends not on the problem, depends on our point of view, depends on our attitude, which depends on our state of mind. That's why it's so important to check our mind. Like people, like everybody, if you have a car, you have to check the oil. It's important. Once a week you check the oil. Well, the mind, it cannot be done once a week. It has to be done pretty often, which is the state of mind I am now. How am I seeing the world? And for most people, most of the time, our state of mind is very low, even if we are very efficient. People can be very efficient and still have a terrible state of mind, a very low state of mind. So it's not a matter of efficiency or a matter of doing many things. It's a certain wider vision of the situation. In a low state of mind, our vision is very narrow. It's very, very narrow. In a higher state of mind, our vision is wider. We see a bigger picture. It's very important to remember this. To remember not to look at the problem, but to look at our minds. Because the problem depends on our minds. What am I seeing? And I will not go into it, but hopefully at least some of you have read my book, and there is one note in my book which is called the Sattvic Mind. So when I talk about there are three states. So what we need to look for is a Sattvic mind. If you don't know what it means, look for it in my book, or you can ask me sometime. It's fine to ask me. But what we are looking for is a Sattvic mind. A Sattvic mind is the mind that can take care of our problems. If we are looking through a Rajasic state or to a Tamasic state, we're going to suffer. And that's why the state of the society is one of, most of the time, suffering. Not because of the problems, but because of the state of our minds.